Tonight, two legends return. For the first time in a while, the legendary name of MRT returns to the NASA Rallycross Challenge. The Austrian squad has 11 Constructors Championships crowns, including a record 7 in a row. Josh Mertz is the winningest driver in NASA Rallycross with 40 race wins and 6 championships, while his teammate Philip Kraus is second on both of those lists with 24 race wins and 4 championships. Who can forget the duels between them? One in 2017C, where they finished on the podium in every single race. Both of them did. And in 2018A, where the Canadian stole the crown from his Irish teammate. As the stage tonight is the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona. This just over half-mile track is mainly a stadium truck track, but NASA always does things different as we take our rallycross cars to this 5-turn bull ring. The Automotive Sports Network is proud to welcome you to Round 8 of the 2022B Overwatch Specialty Service NASA Rallycross Challenge from the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona. Our broadcast brought to you by Overwatch Specialty Service. The only thing more unique than your problem is our solution. For more information, check out osscenter.com. Thank you to Rob Hartland for all of your continued support. Phil, last week we had a Betty winning. He's pulling away in points. Huffman has the sportsman points lead, but he's not here. Who looks good? What do you think?
As you said, Jameson Huffman's not here. That gives Cody Crosgrove basically a free reign of the Sportsman Cup. We'll have to see what he can do with that. I don't think there's another Sportsman car here today. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that's going to be interesting in that field. And then on the other side of things, just in general, Magnus is usually really strong. Josh is usually really strong. Both of them, they've run these off-road tracks a lot more than most of the current competitors in NASA. But we'll have to see what happens. Anything can happen. And there's 2 washed-up has-beens on the grid. We'll have to see what they can do as well. As
coming into this evening's race, Alex Abetty has an 8-point lead over Josh Klog. Magnus Okenhaug's 4th in points. Francois Martel in 3rd. The gap is 8 from Klog to Abetty, 15 from Martel to Abetty, and 31 from Okenhaug to Abetty. Sportsman Cup, as Jameson Huffman not here, basically give Cody Crosgrove the points lead once again, as there was some controversy through the week that a penalty was applied and it really shouldn't have been, and lost the points lead, but you got the points lead again, realistically, as he's here, Rakowski's here, Jake Robichaux, Victor Aldrich, a couple of cars, but they are down on points, so realistically, I think Cody Crosgrove might have a good shot here this evening. As we roll in with the Constructors Championship, TWR Subi squad up by 32 points over Fiesta Siesta. And then the Manufacturers Championship, Subaru has an 11-point lead over Ford, as only a few Ford teams here, especially after the main LLM cars really pulled off the track. So apologies in advance, our timing not playing nice. We'll at least have a lap counter there for you guys. Welcome to ASN On Demand. Philip Kraus, Josh Mertz, getting ready to go for heat number 1. We're going to have 4 of them, 6 laps each. No jokers here. Top 2 will transfer. So Okenhaug on pole, green flag, ahead of Abetty. Down to turn number 1, peeking to the inside, Watson in car 39. James Watson making his 2nd appearance this season as Carson McKenna and Brian Sawyer 4th and 5th. Up the hill through those 2 jumps, Phil, down to turn 2, or rather up to turn 2. And over this jump, we'll go over the track, of course, through this first heat, as such a unique layout into turn number 4. A little bit of connection issues from Okenhaug. You'll see multiple lines through these whoops as we go through turn 5. And at the end of the first lap, Magnus will lead us.
Yeah, Josh, this track, it's a very unique track on the NASA Rallycross calendar. Even for an endurance track, it's very unique. It's a bit of a bull ring, really. There's no real long straights. There's no real breaks. It's like, what, a 37, 38-second lap time? But, yeah, it's constant action. It's very hard to pass here. You're going to see a lot of argy-bargy. People are going to have to get the chrome horn out to get to things done. And be interested to see what these drivers do in this first heat.
And side by side, it looks like we've got the teammates for the moment. McKenna versus the man himself, James Watson, the man behind Team Watson Racing, is Brian Sawyer in the Fiesta Siesta car sitting in the back of the field. Alex Abetty, this isn't what he wants to see. He doesn't want to see Magnus so far ahead. Granted, Magnus is over a race down, but he's shown momentum the last couple of weeks. We wonder if the Norwegian can take the fight to his I guess, satellite teammate, I guess you could say, but a Betty in second, still holding a transfer spot.
Yeah, speaking of Magnus real quick, I wouldn't say he's, like, had insane runs of form, but, like, he's a very peaky driver. He won earlier in the season at, what was it, Bark River? The other endurance round, so, definitely he's looking forward to this race. He had a bad race in Iowa, which dropped him a bit back at the top 3 in points, but, so far so good, looking for a really solid rebound in that 26 camp.
As we already have taken cross flags here in heat number 1. Pretty strung out with all of these cars here, but we're going to try and ride on board in just a couple moments, just to give you guys a feel of how this track is. Such a unique layout, 4 left-handed corners and 1 right-handed corner. And through those whoops, like I think we had talked about, multiple different lines that we'll try and go over. As let's try and take a look from high above here. We take 2 laps to go. Magnus leads Abedi, leads McKenna, Watson. And let's actually ride on board and describe this track here, Phil, as we ride on board Magnus.
Yeah, you fly over the jump here into the only right-hander on the track. Another hairpin, very tight corner. You want to hold it tight because you want to stay to the right over this whoop section. If you stay over there, the bumps are less aggressive and you're able to carry more speed as you go through this long left-hander. You want to wash it out a little bit wide and then cut in late to set yourself up over this jump, and that's the start-finish line there. It's such a short lap, but here we are in turn 1. It's another medium speed corner. You want to hold this one tight though, because there's not as much extra banking on the outside, and then you fly over 2 jumps and back to the hairpin where we started.
Such a unique track, and what's interesting is he didn't shift. He stayed in 5th gear. Now, Phil, I have to ask, as we get close to the end of the heat race, looks like Magnus will win pretty uncontested. Why do you not want to shift in these cars here?
I would say most drivers do shift here, but the main reason why you wouldn't want to shift is mostly just getting drive in your 4-wheel drive car. I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah, drive is so paramount here, especially on these exits, as there's so many slow speed corners. The lower gears, there's a higher probability for you to spin up the tires basically, and you're just not able to get the power down. As Magnus is commandingly won Heat 1, Josh.
As he wins Heat 1 along with Abedi transferring, and everybody else runs through the semifinals. Depending on how it looks like, I think we will have 2 semifinals this evening, but we'll have to learn together and wait and see. As heat number 2 getting ready to go here in Wild Horse. Almost said Bark River for some odd reason. As we are waiting on Francois Martel to get on track. Justin Ament, Jess Rakowski, Marcos Palacio, and Philip Kraus. Former champion will grid in 3rd as we get ready for our 2nd heat race. Green flag. Changed a little bit from the last time we were here. We ran a rolling start. Ament gets nudged by Kraus in car number 19 as we exit turn 1 through these first couple of jumps and down to turn 2. Volkswagen versus 4 Subarus. Deep in the corner goes Ament. Kraus looks to the inside. Contact, it looked like, between Palacio and Rakowski as we go down the hill into turn number 3.
Yeah,
over the whoops.
This first lap, as you can tell, between Rakowski and Palacio, you have to get the elbows out a little bit because you don't really have time to sit behind someone and wait for a move to develop. These heats are so short, especially with the lap time around here. You just have to get the moves done, especially when you're battling for 4th place and you have to get in 2nd place to transfer. You don't have time to really think about what you're doing, per se.
As deep in the corner goes Ament. Did that first lap, running it a little bit wide. Realistically, I know the line is hug the berm on the inside of the corner. Looks like Martel tried to get a run through the whoops. Multiple lines. Like I've said so many times, there's a couple of guys that go through the whoops. I know Josh Mertz drives completely around them, and he doesn't get penalized for them even before, when we ran here before. So the sim doesn't consider it track limits, so I guess it's fair game.
Yeah, just judging off how a lot of these drivers are taking it, yeah, I'd say it's fair game. None of them have gone super far out there so far, but they're definitely actively trying to avoid it. But it's not as active as it was when we first went here. I don't remember what season that was. I want to say it was 2018A, somewhere around there. But
2020A and 2021C were the only 2 seasons that we had raced here.
All right, I am thinking far too far in
All
the past,
good.
Josh. But yeah, as we have a battle heating up in second place between Justin Ament and Philip Kraus in the 19.
Into turn number 1. Ament holds that spot. Philip Kraus showed up literally 15 minutes before practice ended, and he said, I didn't run any laps. Ament goes wide in turn 2, and it looks like the former champion might sneak his way into a transfer spot. We'll just have to wait and see. Ament, will he dive onto the inside through turn 3? Perfect line, hits the berm, and around he goes in car number 2. Palacio mounts the curb, the dirt curb, I guess you could say, to get by him. So Martel's going to take 2 laps to go, and Philip Kraus might sneak his way into a feature race despite having 15 minutes of practice. So
yeah, Josh, it's looking like without any major error from these two, they should be able to sneak their way into the final, because that spin for Ament also cost Palacio a fair amount of time in the 83.
As we take a look on monitor there, Palacio, Ament, and Rakowski, 3rd through 5th. As the bug of Francois Martel, Volkswagen's only hope to have any chance of the Constructors Championship ahead of Philip Kraus in the all-conquering Subaru WRX as we take the white flag here in heat number 2. As it's been quite some time since Phil's last win, we'll have to see if the Canadian can sneak his way further up the grid. But I've been hearing grumblings on the radio that he's going to fraudulently make his way into a feature race. What do you think about that one?
I would say that is an accurate representation of the emotions that are going through the head of Philip Kraus at this moment. He kind of got lucky when Justin Ament made that mistake. I don't know if he was going to be able to get by, but either way, he's in a final along with Francois Martel in the 12 car.
Martel wins, 2 bonus points to him. 3 bonus points, I apologize there. Philip Kraus, 2 bonus points in car number 19. As Ament, Rakowski, and Palacio, best of the rest, to the semifinals. Like I was mentioning, Martel is the only hope for Volkswagen. A lot like, Ford's got a couple more cars. They've got Cosgrove, they've got Brian Sawyer, and they've got Alex Abetty. Interesting to see if there's going to be maybe a rule put in place to limit the Subarus. I don't know how exactly that you could do that, given that the Subaru is the dominant platform.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be a car limit, but I know the regulating body has been trying to think of a way to get these drivers in different cars. We'll have to see if potentially there's a balanced performance applied to the Subaru to convince drivers to switch to other cars, but yeah, we'll have to see what happens as we're gearing up for Heat 3.
Green flag, John Dipple, Justin Robichaux, Cody Cosgrove, Josh Mertz into turn 1. Robichaux gives him a little bit of a nudge. Cosgrove is not the blue plate holder technically, but I guess you can give him the blue plate again. Mertz to the inside of Robichaux. Cosgrove to the inside of Mertz. Mertz shoved out wide in the 81. He practiced much more than his teammate, so we'll have to see what will happen. Through turn 3, Dipple, who won in Crandon a few seasons ago, knows his way around these endurance tracks. As Robichaux for Woven Planet sits in second. Third is Cosgrove. Fourth is Mertz trying the switcheroo through the final corner. Off the final corner, Dipple leads Robichaux. Mertz to the inside of Cosgrove into turn 1. Gives him a little hip check there.
Yeah, hip check for a hip check, Josh, as Cosgrove gave him a bit of a hip check on lap 1. He's given a hip check back on lap 2. Let's see if Cosgrove goes for the triplet and does another hip check to Josh as we fly over the jump here, setting up for the only right-hander on the track. It looks like Cody's going to shove it up the inside, and he does make contact with Josh, and it send him around.
Clips the berm. In the 81 off the road, not having good luck. So while his teammate fraudulently decided to get through into the feature race, I don't know if his teammate will be able to have the same luck. John Dipple loves this, though, out and away from the rest of the field ahead of Justin Robichaux in the 93. Cosgrove sits in third. And Dipple, like I said, has got speed. He's won at Crandon before, which obviously is nowhere close to the same style track. It is and it isn't. I would say Crandon's going to be faster, but there's still hairpins involved.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're too similar, but they're both like the same idea. They're similar surfaces, but yeah, Dibble spent a while out in NASA Rallycross. He came back at Iowa last week. He had a solid running. I believe he made the feature, and it's looking like he's going to build off that. And when he ran with us back a few seasons ago, he was always a very strong competitor. I think he only won at Crandon, but he was usually a feature driver, and he's showing that right now as he runs away in the lead from Justin Robichaud.
Now, what's going through the mind of the 81? One-off appearance, shoved out wide, and he's sitting on the outside looking in, trying so hard to maybe get back at Cosgrove. We know when he gets raced like he was, it doesn't end very well for the driver involved. 2 laps to go, and Dipple off the road and into the fence! Commentator's curse. And this is going to spice up the transfer battle with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, Justin Robichaud's just been given a heat win on Silver Platter, and Cody Grosgrove and Josh Mertz are now fighting for the final transfer spot. Obviously, as you said, they had a bit of argy-bargy earlier in the heat. It'll be interesting to see if Josh can get back to him, because I think if he can get back to him, they're not going to play nice. I think Josh is going to give him a little hit check if he can, and try and get that transfer spot.
Through the whoops. So difficult to get this line right, because you can, theoretically, run all the way to the right-hand side, but the transition for the pit lane is there, and it basically is like a plateau at the top of the hill. If you get the right rear on that berm, you are not going to make the corner. Mertz has, realistically, 2 shots left as that fourth corner, I should say. You can't really make any moves. Deep on the 81, late apex. He's got 1 corner left. I think he's too far away, Phil.
Yeah, I don't think he got the drive out of turn 1 there, and looks like he sent it into turn 2, not able to get close enough. Cosgrove pulls away in the 28, and I think that's game over for Josh Mertz as Justin Robichaud rounds the final corner to win heat number 3, Josh.
As 3 bonus points to him, Cosgrove gets 2, and Mertz to the semifinal. No bonus points, and Dipple as well. So those will be the 2 cars in the semifinal. Looks like we're going to get 2 semifinal races, as we did have 17 cars, I do believe, here this evening, or 18 cars, I do believe. So Ben Forster, Josh Clogg, Victor Aldrich, Jake Robichaud in the 69. That will be the rest of our field, our last heat race here in Wild Horse. Cars spooling up. Getting ready for the start, standing start. Luckily, we're all starting on the top of this hill. I think there's going to be a couple cars starting on the ramp in the feature, but we'll have to see. Green flag. Aldrich to the inside of his teammate, Forster. Satellite teammate through turn 1. No damage done. Clogg takes the lead, holds the lead into turn number 2. Forster to the inside. Will he take the fight to the defending champion? Forster has it for the moment. We go up the hill, down the hill to turn 3. Clogg takes it. Can Forster do the over-under? He gets there. He thought of it, but hit the berm. Forster loses out on the lead. Aldrich, Jake Robichaud, 2nd through 4th.
Yeah, Forster got there, Josh, but Clogg didn't really give him any room to make a move. He kind of had to just drive onto the berm and had to concede that he wasn't going to get by Josh Clogg in that corner unless he was going to make contact with him. But going back to Josh Clogg, this is a very big race for Josh. As we said in the pre-race, he's one of the few drivers who's run these endurance tracks a lot more often, and his 2 main competitors, Abedi and Martel, they don't really run these that much. It's it's Clogg and Magnus's type of wheelhouse, this, and they need to make up as many points as they can on their championship rivals.
As I think Clogg did race here in 2021C against his former teammate Luke Kraus, the 2-time champion of the series. But Abedi wasn't here, Martel wasn't here. The only experience they have, I think, if I recall correctly, Wild West or Crandon, along with Bark River, as Wild West and Crandon should make an appearance on the 2023A schedule. Should be released shortly, so keep an eye on the NASA Discord. Clogg leads Forster. And what's nice about these tracks, unless it's the feature race, everyone really runs their own race racing the track. As Aldrich behind his teammate. It looked like Aldrich might have ripped the handbrake on corner entry, and what I've noticed is when you do that, you lose all your momentum, and you basically drive like it's a road course. You have no way to get through the corner, efficiently at least.
Yeah, that was a bit more exaggerated with Aldrich there because I think he pulled the handbrake a bit too early, so he ended up straightening out before he'd actually gotten to the exit phase of the corner, and he just had to delay his throttle input, and that it made it look a lot worse than it usually is. I know a lot of drivers do use the handbrake around here. I don't know if Magnus does. He used to. I don't think he does anymore, but I think it's a viable option, but I think if you can avoid using it, you'll probably be quicker.
It looks like Forster through the whoops, further on the right-hand side, so you don't jump through the whoops. Clog does take those jumps at the end of the 4th lap. Lap time was 37.818 to a 37.975. To put that into perspective, Aldrich 38.6 and a 38.8 for Jake Robichaux. 2 laps to go for Josh Clog, who had the red plate along with Abedi last week. Not a good run for the Maryland driver. And on the outside looking in for the points lead here.
I wouldn't say it was a bad run for Josh. He still finished on the podium in 3rd, but I bet he won the race, and that was
compared to Abedi. Abedi, if I recall correctly, had a perfect race, won the heat race by a mile, and then won the feature after jokering instantly.
Yes, Abedi won every race he could win in Iowa, but Josh right now is looking to gain an extra point on Abedi if he can wrap up this heat win.
As we are on the white flag, Forster doing a little bit of vehicular gymnastics, or attempting to, opens the door for Aldrich potentially. Aldrich was a 10th.5 faster than his satellite teammate that last lap, but we saw last race, you really have to set up a move a couple laps in advance.
Forster's gone wide through turn 2.
Aldrich did the same thing with the handbrake there.
And it gripped too early again. He's going to try going to the far left side of the whoops. He just wasn't able to generate any momentum there, as Josh Clog's going to take a dominant win at Heat 4, and Forster squeaks through to the final.
As Aldrich and Jake Robichaux to the semifinals here in Wild Horse. We're going to have 5 lap races. Looks like it's being split up into 2 races, so the winner will transfer in these races here. Carson McKenna, John Dipple, James Watson, Brian Sawyer, Josh Mertz. That are the drivers that are in this race. Looks like McKenna on pole, Mertz, Watson, Dipple, Sawyer. As we get ready for semifinal A here in Chandler, Arizona. Green flag. McKenna gets a good jump off the line compared to Mertz. Watson sneaks to the inside, can't get it done. Sawyer passes Dipple through turn 1. Dipple nudges him exiting turn 1. And this is crucial if we go back to the last race. If the 81 wants to transfer and join his teammate, Sawyer ping-pongs off a Dipple into Watson. Watson pushed out wide in the 39. Dipple gets hit by Sawyer. And now it's really a 3-car battle, as multiple lines, like we said, through the final corner. At the end of the first lap, Carson McKenna, who remember won in Spain earlier this season, leads at the end of the first lap.
Yeah, you saw those alternate lines to the whoops again. I don't think Sawyer meant to do that. You saw he lost like 4/10 through that section alone. But yeah, he was a bit of a bowling ball that first lap. I don't think any of it was really his fault. He just got caught in the middle of a 3 wide, and he never really got to fully get his car under control. But right now he's sitting in 3rd. John Dipple's coming right up behind him, and I'm sure he has some choice words for the driver of the 88. But Josh Mertz applying pressure to Carson McKenna for this semi-final win at the moment. It'll be interesting to see if he can put some momentum together and get after the TWR driver.
Through the final corner at the end of the second lap, McKenna leads, really squirrely over the start-finish line jump. Dipple to the inside.
Scary.
Dipple to the inside of Sawyer, exiting turn 1. Will Dipple slide wide? I thought he'd have momentum on the 88, couldn't make it happen. Into turn number 2, very wide. Dipple gets by, clears him.
Sawyer should get the drive, but he gets block passed by Dipple. That was excellently executed.
Sawyer into the wall.
Sawyer's into the wall.
I thought Mertz would have the momentum on McKenna through turn 3. Couldn't make it happen as we come to 2 laps to go. Sawyer in 5th. 4th, James Watson after being into the wall on the first lap. So this is going to be the battle. And Dipple, unless a miracle happens, he might be out here in Wild Horse, there. But Dipple, one of the fastest guys here.
Yeah, I don't think Dipple has time to really catch up to Carson McKenna. He might get to Josh Mertz, but Mertz is trying his heart out to try to get to McKenna, so we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, it's really unfortunate for Dipple. He showed the pace in his heat and made an unforced error, which effectively ended his race, as we're about to start the final lap, and I think Carson McKenna's run away with this, Josh.
And I think inside the 81, he knows that it's a one-off appearance, and he can decide if he wants to run for points or not. So McKenna leads at the end of the 4th lap, and that's the end of the race for the 81.
Went out in style, but yeah, John Dipple, I don't think is going to be able to get there on Carson McKenna. Carson can just kind of cruise to the checkered flag, and it's a bit of a shame for Josh that he couldn't make the final. I think he had the pace to do it, to just things didn't play out the way that they needed to for him.
As Dipple might be the best of the rest here in Wild Horse. Almost said Wild West again. Apologies there. McKenna will seed in 9th in Wild Horse. 11th will be Dipple, best of the rest. 13th will be James Watson. 15th will be Brian Sawyer. So 17 cars will score for points, as we will discover who will finish where and start where and race where in the second semifinal, another 5-lap race. As Jess Rakowski first on grid, Palacio, Jake Robichaux, Victor Aldrich, Justin Ament. Who do you think for this one?
I don't know, Josh. It's hard to really pin it on one driver. I'd have to put it on Ament just because he was in a transfer spot in his heat already and just made a bit of an error. I think he has the pace, but we'll have to see if he's able to keep it clean as we're lights out and away we go for LCQ number 2.
Rakowski nearly into Victor Aldrich into turn 1. Jake Robichaux high, wide, and handsome on the outside. Rakowski on the berm, gets passed by Jake Robichaux in the 69. Put her from 3rd back to 5th. Palacio on the outside in the 83. Exiting turn 2, down to turn 3. Justin Ament leads deep on the brakes. Is Robichaux? I don't even think he used the brakes. He used Aldrich as his brake pedal. So Argy Bargy for 2nd on back. Justin Ament loves this. Despite him having his issues in his heat race, he leads the semifinal. 3 wide, nearly it looked like, between Rakowski, Aldrich, and Jake Robichaux. Robichaux sits in 2nd. Aldrich to the inside. Robichaux bumps him again. The teammates Rakowski and Robichaux side by side exiting turn 1. Contact between them, and Rakowski gets nudged off the track.
What a lap, Josh. I said that Brian Sawyer was a bit of a bowling ball last lap. Jake Robichaux must have heard me, and he wanted to take that title off him as he, I think he made contact with almost every car on the grid that lap as he obviously sent it very aggressively on Aldrich, used him as a brake, and then he had more contact with his teammate. The only driver I don't think he had contact with was Justin Ament, who was leading and is running away with us now thanks to everything that just happened there on that first lap, Josh.
As we exit the 2nd lap, enter the 3rd lap, Robichaux gets nudged by Palacio in the 83. And I know I talked last week, such a mystifying case. Marcos Palacio, so fast, we know how quick he is. He's had horrible luck. Whether it's crashes, whether he's taken out, just never in the opportunity, and when he is in a feature, never in an opportunity to be on the podium. I was expecting a win a long time ago.
Yeah, he's had a lot more bad luck than I think he is deserved to have, for sure. He's a bit like Chris Wetz was with his bad luck, but I think Palacio, especially on iRacing, is a bit quicker than Wetz has been. But yeah, he seems to always be the bridesmaid, not the bride, but it seems to be pertaining to making finals instead of winning races and championships at the moment.
As we begin 2 laps to go, Justin Ament as well, one of the drivers in his debut season in the NASA Rallycross Challenge, one of the few privateers in this championship, and certainly wondering, I wonder if he's going to be picked up by a constructor team next season, showing this pace for Damage Plan. But Ament will take the white flag in semifinal B, comfortably ahead of Aldrich, but like we've said so many times, not just tonight, but every race of the NASA Rallycross Challenge, anything can happen, and it usually does. So you can't really say that he's going to win until he crosses the line. Robichaux, Palacio, Rakowski, that running order has not changed.
You can say he's going to win, and half the time the commentator's curse will strike him down. We'll have to see if that happens this time, because I've mentioned the commentator's curse, so maybe that offsets, but yeah, only one more corner to go for Justin Ament, and the whoops section. Looks like he's going to get through the whoops cleanly. Only one corner to go. Justin, please don't bottle it. Don't make me eat my words. Rounding the final corner, Justin Ament will win the second LCQ and transfer to the final. Victor Aldrich gets the last spot on the grid with...
Remember, there's only one car transferring, so he is
yes,
he is on the outside looking in as well. 12th place 14th for Robichaux, 16th for Palacio, and 17th for Jess Rakowski. As we get ready for round 224 of the championship overall, round 8 of the 26th season, welcome everyone to the Overwatch Specialty Service NASA Rallycross Challenge. With Philip Kraus next to me in the commentary box, I am Josh Mertz as we welcome you to ASN On Demand. Once again, apologies for not having any graphics, as both of the programs that we were attempting to use for scoring did not work. 10 cars, 10 laps, and who, if anybody, can beat Magnus Okenhaug? Francois Martel, Justin Robichaux, Josh Klog, Alex Zabetti, Philip Kraus, Cody Crosgrove.
Good luck, everyone.
We're missing a few there. We'll go over it shortly as we get ready to go green in Arizona. Green flag off the line. Okenhaug gets a good jump over Martel down to turn 1. Robichaux side by side with him through the first corner, down the straightaway. Magnus loves this. Ahead of Martel. Klog sneaks to the inside. Gives him a nudge. Side by side. Robichaux involved as well, along with a Betty. Philip Kraus loves this. 2 cars around and 2 more cars around. Klog gets hit by Philip Kraus. Robichaux gets hit by a Betty. Kraus is going to stop. 3 cars, 4 cars. Ament, McKenna, Forster, and Cody Crosgrove sits in 3rd at the end of the first lap. Magnus leads ahead of Martel. Cody Crosgrove is 1 in Sportsman. He's the only Sportsman to make this race. Ahead of Forster, McKenna, Ament, Klog, Abetty, Kraus, and Justin Robichaux. What could have been for the Canadian? But Phil, Magnus out in front.
Yeah, Magnus running away with us right now. And Cody Crosgrove, he's looking to repeat the feat that Jameson Huffman did a few races ago, where he podiumed as a Sportsman car. He's fighting real hard with a TWR car right here. I can't see the name quite.
Benjamin Forster.
But Benjamin Forster, as he's going to hold that position for the time being. It looks like he's going to have a bad line through the whoops, though, so Forster should get a chance to do an over-under on him. We'll have to see, but what a chaotic first lap, Josh. That was 4 cars essentially out of the race after 1 lap.
Teammates over the jump. Contact McKenna and Forster. McKenna goes to the inside. Will he save it? He does. Rips the handbrake, hits the berm. All good. This is not what Klog or Abetty needs for the points lead. As there's Philip Kraus in 8th, 9th Robichaux. Looks like we've lost 1 car. We'll have to take a look and see, unless they just had a connection issue. Magnus still leads ahead of Martel. Forster, Crosgrove, Ament, Klog, everybody under a blanket. McKenna, Kraus, Robichaux, and I think we lost Alex Abetty. So our points leader out. Another bad race for the German.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch what happened to Alex Abetty, but another unfortunate race for him. He didn't have much luck in Bark River either, as Magnus Okenhaug running away from Francois Martel, and then it's a gaggle for 3rd, Josh, between 5 cars.
As Magnus won in Bark River. If he wins tonight, he will win the Area 52 Designs Endurance Cup. So, a mini championship within the championship. And apologies there, we forgot to completely tell you about that championship, given the circumstances of tonight's show with all the graphics being broken. Klog bullies Ament out of the way in car number 2 against car number 199. So Ament was in 5th, put him back to, that's got to be 7th, if I look at all the cars and count them correctly.
Carson McKenna just saw Josh Klog body Justin Ament, and yeah, he saw a gap and went for it. I mean, I don't blame him, but Justin Ament, that's got to get him a little hot under the collar, as that's dropped him down 2 places, and I'd say
contact
really
between McKenna and Ament.
They're still touching.
McKenna gets turned, puts it into reverse, and back out onto the track. We've had some issues this season where drivers would get super excited once they get turned, excited whether it's positive or negative, to get back into the action, so they throw it in gear, whether it's reverse or first, and crash into the cars they're racing. So it's good to see McKenna just immediately throw it into reverse and not threaten anybody else there. As we take cross flags, Magnus has realistically set sail, or at least he's trying to set sail from Martel. These two for sure have set sail from Forster in the 23. Great run for Forster, but he's got Crosgrove and Klog behind him.
Yeah, Magnus and Martel have been doing the same lap time since about lap 2. They've been mirroring each other quite well, but this gaggle for 3rd's not going to calm down anytime soon. And we know Josh Klog's driving under a bit of red mist after that first lap incident with Philip Kraus. It looked like he had cleared that incident, but then just got tagged at the last second, and that essentially ruined his feature race. But he's looking to recover as best he can, and he's hoping to get this 4th place off of Cody Crosgrove.
As like we've said, every point counts. And Klog hemorrhaging points at the current moment. 4 laps to go, 3.5 realistically, for Magnus Okenhaug, the Norwegian. 3 wins in the NASA Rallycross Challenge, trying to make it 4 and trying to get 2 wins on the season. and both of them in the Endurance Cup. We're going to have
Clog sends it on Cosgrove, I think.
2 weeks left. Clog does send it on Cosgrove. 199 versus 28. Move out of my way. I'm going to take this spot.
Yeah, that's Clog's second hip check of the race. You can really see how he's trying to get these moves done. Definitely driving under the red mist, as I said. But I think 4th place is as high as he can get, and I don't think Cody's going to take too kindly to that, obviously. He complained about a penalty at Iowa last week. We covered that in the pre-race show, and I would imagine under his helmet right now, he's imagining that Josh Clog deserves a penalty in the 199 for that pass.
As quickly, a couple programming notes on the Automotive Sports Network. We do go to Homestead for the IMSA, EMSA, Service Experts E-Roval Series, Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Brian Sawyer, Josh Mertz, Cody Erdman for the commentary crew there. And then the NASA Rallycross Challenge, you'll join myself. I don't know why I said third person there. It's been a crazy day. Myself and Philip Kraus in Sonoma for that race as we go stay out west, Sonoma, Phoenix to wrap up this championship. But still got a lap and a half to go. Magnus leads ahead of Martel. Battle for third has simmered down. Forster looks like he's going to hold it, but Cosgrove has been moved from 4th back to 5th. Side by side for a moment, it was Kraus versus Ament as the Canadian trying to get a couple more spots here.
As he sends it down the inside of Justin Ament, a little bit of contact between the two, and he's going to have a similar fate almost to his teammate. But it looks like he's able to keep control of that car as we come to the white flag for Magnus Okenhog. I think he's probably already halfway done with the lap as we watch this battle for 4th.
I would say a quarter of the way through for the Norwegian. Interesting random fact, we have 5 Canadians in this race, and I think that's the most of a single nationality. But none of the Canadians have been able to beat Magnus. The closest one is the French-Canadian Francois Martel through turn 3. And Magnus has been completely untouchable today, and the Norwegian off of the final corner, his 4th career win, his 2nd of the season, and he wins the Area 52 Designs Endurance Cup as he wins in Wild Horse ahead of Francois Martel. Forster will come home in 3rd on the podium. Great run for the 23. Clog, best of the rest, off the podium in the 199. 5th Cosgrove, but he won Sportsman. Ament 6th. Justin Robichaux 7th, Philip Kraus in 8th, 9th will be Carson McKenna, and 10th, Alex Abedi. As in true NASA fashion, Forster celebrates for his podium spot, but what a run by Magnus.
Yeah, what a run by Magnus. He had a bad race in Iowa, as I said earlier, and this puts him right back into the championship fight as Clog and Abedi, Clog had a decent race, but Abedi finished last in the feature, and he hemorrhaged a ton of points. I think that was maybe a 16-point swing between Abedi and Okenhog, which really thrust him back into the championship. I'm not sure what it looks like between the top 4 exactly, but it'll be really interesting to see what happens in these final 2 races, Josh.
As Alex Abedi unofficially 1 point up on Josh Clog, and then 3 points up on Francois Martel. It's a 14-point gap from Abedi to Okenhog, but if Magnus can keep this momentum, who knows what will happen. Sportsman, Cosgrove has 24 points over Huffman, so all he has to do is have a good couple of races, and he will be your champion, but like I've said, anything can happen. From all of us at the Automotive Sports Network, Brian Sawyer, Cody Erdman, Philip Kraus, I am Josh Mertz. We hope you enjoyed today's coverage on ASN On Demand of NASA Rallycross at Wild Horse. Remember, our series brought to you by Overwatch Specialty Service. The only thing more unique than your problem is our solution. For more information, check out osscenter.com. Like I said, programming notes, Sunday, IMSA E-Roval, 9 p.m. Eastern at Homestead. Myself, Cody Erdman, Brian Sawyer. Next Monday, NASA Rallycross, Sonoma, myself, and Philip Kraus at 9 p.m. Eastern. Hope you enjoyed today's coverage, like I said. Congratulations to Magnus, but until then, so long, everyone.